No!
Oh no!
We've been
No!
sabotaging everything.
No!
We've
No!
No! It's not either,
Oh,
isn't it?
it was
No!
literally what we were talking about as well.
No! No!
I was like, we're just making sure you're aware, like not doing anything. Oh my god.
Oh
We've been sat
no!
here for like 10 minutes, man.
It's fine. Luckily, it's not the entire race without
It's
it.
not
So
the whole race, and we've still got the end of quali to go. So, with
Yeah.
that in mind,
oh,
hi,
That was
welcome to PRL. I know we've just been chatting for 10 minutes without realising that the stream hadn't started. My apologies, that's my fault. But welcome, we're at Austria. We've been talking about how much we like this track and how much penalties are going to be an absolute nightmare across the borders. A lot of people have been picking up, in particular at the very final corner, they've been invalidating their times. Other than that, though, I have a co-host. I have a co-com. It's absolutely wonderful.
hello.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we have also been saying about how competitive all the drivers are looking because it is looking to be a really, really feisty qualifying coming towards the last 7 minutes because the top four was previously the top three was separated by less than a tenth.
And now it's not.
And now
Spirus Virus has
wow,
just put in an amazing time, a
2/10
103.618.
faster, two
And
tenths
goes
faster than Blackbone in
2/10.
P2. There's one thing I am seeing as well is I'm seeing a lot of spins. I have
Oh.
seen, yeah, I don't know if the drivers are suffering a little bit from tire degradation. I do know that last round in China, tire deg was a massive, massive feature in both the qualifying and sprint race and feature race. So maybe it is something that could come into effect in qualifying. Maybe the drivers need to be a little bit more careful how they are using their tires.
Yeah, I mean, this track, it's a bit of a weird one for grip. Sometimes you just have absolutely loads, and then all of a sudden it just goes away from you. It just snaps you out like that. So I do imagine that drivers will be struggling with that a little bit. It just makes you wonder what's going to happen during the race. How many incidents are we going to see? Because something else we were speaking about was how Austria is prone to causing a safety car and a strategy nightmare for some of these drivers and an absolute godsend of a strategy for the others. So it should be a very interesting race, but we've still got 6 minutes of qualifying to go. Most drivers have completed 2 flyers by now and will be moving on to their third and final within, I'm going to say, the next sort of 4 or 5 minutes, because they can leave it really, really late before they come out of the pit lane here, and I imagine a lot of them will.
Yep, definitely. And I am seeing a lot of improvements by a lot of the drivers, but I'm also seeing, again, the invalidated lap with the track limits. Now, I'm thinking, could these track limits be a factor in a very dramatic end to Q1? But I guess we'll have to wait and see. I also saw that the Ferrari driver of Bonnie has put it into P7, which is a very respectable time and position for him.
Indeed, it is. I mean, got most drivers setting a time so far. Only 2 that are yet to set times. Eat My Dust and Fabi Cassi are still yet to go. Fabi's been quite unlucky. He's gone out twice and is invalidated on both occasions.
Yeah,
So he will have to
shame.
make sure that he gets a time in this time round. Otherwise, he will be starting from last. Eat My Dust is currently out on track on his outlap. So he's gone for an early lap rather than everybody else, maybe just to prevent himself getting into too much traffic, and taking it rather slowly on his outlap as he on board. He's just waiting for the guy to come behind, but I think they might be stopped as well.
Yeah, I've just seen J Hawes on his lap and does spin it onto the grass in the end of Sector 2, which is quite a shame for him, but I won't doubt that he will have another run. I don't know if he will just pop his car back into the pits. Yep, he is popping back into the pits. It is a shame because it was looking to be a cracking lap from the Red Bull driver. Is there anybody else on track? Hazard in 17th is about to cross the line. He does not improve his lap whatsoever, and I don't think he has enough battery to make another run as of right now.
Going to watch on board with Cookie as he's just started his lap. He's P4 at the moment with nearly 0.3 of a second down, only just underneath it, and going slower through the first sector. I know a lot of these drivers, they are right on the edge now of their ability, so it should be really interesting to see how he comes along. Maybe it's a front row aim for Mr. Cookie. Maybe it's just try and nick P3 off of Exodus. I'm not too certain. Either way, he's going through this right-hander quite nicely and into the only two left-handers on the track. Of a track of only 10 corners, 80% made up of right turns. So imagine that front left tyre is going to be absolutely knackered by the end of their stints. But either way, he's navigated it pretty well with the purple sector 2. Now heading into the final two corners. Down the hill, round he goes. Keeps it on the track, no invalidation. Comes across the line for P2 there. Splitting Spirus and Blackbone. It's a good time. But is he going to stay there? Because other drivers will be getting out soon.
Yeah, I think maybe if Mr. Cookie does save his battery whilst he is going round, he might have another run. But that was an amazing lap from Mr. Cookie to go P2. He'd had an amazing Sector 2 and Sector 3. Let's just hope that we can see more fast laps like this from the other drivers, because it seems like everybody is coming out of the pits now for the final lap of Q1.
Indeed, they are our front runner, Spirus. He's also out at the moment, up at the top of the hill in Sector 2 there. Blackbone as well, roughly in the same kind of position. So we'll be seeing those two come across the line at very similar points in time. I'd love to tell you how long of the session we've got left, but it's currently being blocked by they're saying there's cautions in Sector 1 and 2. 1 minute 40 something I read there on the blink as it quickly disappeared before reappearing. The Ferrari there, Bonium just been sent flying. The Williams just flew past there. That was actually quite scary to watch.
Yep. I think the Haas in P6 is not going to come out for a final lap and does stay in the pits, which could possibly have an effect, but in P6, is the driver safe? That is something we will find out.
I think he might be in a decent position. You know, he might pick up a solid place, but P6 to actually stay there, considering the fact that Bonium is just under 100th of a second, it's going to be pretty impossible to do so. As well as Scorenzi being very close as well. I mean, I could see him falling down to P12, P13 if just people get good times. That's my worry for him anyway. Either way, take a quick look. Spirus Virus has gone and set purple sector 1. He's running through purple sector 2. He's running through sector 2 at the moment. He'll be hoping for a purple one. But Blackbone sits just in front of him. He's in P4 at the moment. And he is currently running through sector 3. He was slightly up on his time through sector 2, so he'll be hoping for improvements through the final sector. Exodus retiring from the session as well as Mr. Cookie. They were done and dusted just before the end, so it is an improvement for Blackbone. He puts himself P2. It's not enough for pole position. Is Spirus going to improve? He does indeed improve, and by only a fair amount, but I think it might be just enough to keep him safe as J-Horse finally gets a good time on the board. He puts himself P3. CPD Danny, he's still got he's done his lap. Who's through next? Mercedes, I believe. Scorenzi.
My dust is out of qualifying.
Indeed, Scorenzi puts his car P7 for now. He's still got a couple of drivers behind, putting the pressure on. Brackel P11 comes across the line, stays P11, but does improve on his time. unfortunately for him, as just a few more drivers yet to come across the line. Jackalacco comes across in style, a rather slow 16 seconds down. And then the drivers up at the top will be coming into the pit lane. I imagine all of those guys have finished their laps. So there we go. That is the qualifying order for the race.
Wow. And what a qualifying session it is. The driver margins are unbelievably close. From 1st to 20th, 1.3 seconds it's unreal. We hope to see this form of competitiveness going into the race, because if it is, then we are in for a thriller of a race.
When I tell you, we have come a long way, haven't we, guys? I mean, it was what? First seasons, it was 3 seconds between first and last. It's now 1.3. The levels of competitiveness have just closed in to a rate. This is very serious now for a lot of these drivers. I imagine all of them would have put in pretty much their fastest times. I mean, Mr. Cookie, he would have been dead happy with that time, and yet he's still starting P6. That sort of time he would have expected to at least been starting in the top 3. It is so tight out there, and I reckon it has been the case for quite some time now, but the midfield, I think, is going to be truly brilliant.
Oh, definitely. But with the amount of competitiveness that we've seen in qualifying, could that possibly create things such as a DRS train in the race? We did see that in China. Will we see it again? I think it is a possibility.
Certainly is, especially with the 3 DRS zones around this track. Right, let's give us a quick rundown of qualifying then. Spirus Virus starts on the front row along with Blackbone after a very good qualifying for the both of them. J-Horse and Kresnos start on the second, with CPI Danny and Mr. Cookie starting on the third. Skrenzy and Exelis starting on the fourth, and Balance and Bonnie starting on the fifth. Brocco and Rick starting on the sixth, with Bull and LX in the seventh. Spray and Pray and Jackalacco in the eighth, and R. Henson and Fabi Cassie in the ninth, and Eat My Dust and Hazard round out the pack, with Hazard picking up a 5-place grid penalty, hence pushing him to the back of the grid. Right, well, just before they all get going, let's take one quick look at the track today. Welcome to Spielberg, welcome to Austria. It's a very short 2.6 miles with 10 turns, 8 to the right and 2 to the left, 3 DRS zones, and just general chaos indeed. Great overtaking opportunities in turn 1, turn 3, and if you are very brave, through the double right-handers. I've seen enough people try and do it over the years, but I can't recommend it. It usually ends up with someone in the gravel.
It definitely does, but it is looking like a very, very nice day in Austria, which is a big, big relief for a lot of the drivers that was worried about rain, because there's one possibility that could shape a race, and rain is definitely not what they wanted to see. So they will be very relieved.
Right, here we go. 5 red lights waiting to get underway here in Austria. It's a pretty long wait at the 5, and with an even longer wait as everybody finally gets going. And the AlphaTauri does indeed get off to an absolutely fantastic start. As far as is going to look really comfortable into turn 1, and so is Blackbone. He stays in P2 as the moment as Kresnos tries to go down the inside of the Red Bull. He's now going to have the Aston Martin to deal with as DVD Danny trying to go down the inside of the both of them. Who's going to get it in the braking zone? Let's see here. He's going to be a huge send by the Alpha. Oh, he's hit the Ferrari there. Big contact between him. Brakes far too late, and that pushes Blackbone down towards his teammate in P9 and P10. Absolute heartbreak for him. Moves happening throughout the middle as well. The Hash tries a little move down the inside, decides he wants to back out of that. It's probably not the best of ideas to take a look at it, as Danny collects himself in P6 after that incident.
Yeah, what a good start from Exelis, making 3 positions from the start, but Blackbone losing 9 positions after the contact. That is definitely not what we wanted to see, but other moves from other drivers. Mr. Cookie making 2 moves, overtakes both Ferraris in a similar position. Red Bull of Buell making 1 overtake, Spray and Pray and Jacko both making 2 overtakes. LX going down a place, Fabi making 2. Rick in last place has lost 8, and that is not what the Aston Martin driver had in his plans for today's race.
Nightmare fuel for Rick indeed. As just watching there down the first straight of the lap as Exelis Egg managed to get himself past Mr. Cookie after just trying to fight over the course of the last lap. And with a pretty poor corner from Mr. Cookie, he gets himself a little bit of breathing room. Overall, we haven't got too much happening at the front, but towards the rear, it is absolute chaos, and I'm going to try and get a depiction of what's going on here, but it is general chaos as all the McLaren there, I think, is just ever so slightly touched the gravel, so Spray and Pray loses that position. He moves down to P18. Our Henson down in P16 as well. He's going to try and go up towards the Mercedes, but not quite to be for now. He's going to have to wait a little bit longer. Spiros Fire is picking up the fastest lap now, Exelis, so he's looking on a bit of a hunt here as Blackbone right behind Brockle as well. He's looking dangerous as to try and get past. He's not going to be able to go at turn 1, but a good run out and possibly a move into turn 3. But DRS now open, so I imagine the pack might close up once again as Spiros Virus, though, has already broken DRS and by a considerable margin.
Yep, 1.8 seconds away from the Haas of Kresnos, which he needs to start picking up the pace, but then again, he is under pressure from J Hawes in the Red Bull in P3, which is definitely going to be spoiling his chances of catching up to the leader, but I guess we'll see what happens there. Exelis, who just made 4 overtakes from the start now, is definitely going to be on that hunt for both J Hawes and Kresnos, and even possibly Spiros, because he is looking awfully racy at the start and current positions.
Indeed it is, as most drivers really unable to get much done through Sector 3. It's sort of the sectors to collect yourself and just sort of prepare for the moves to happen for the rest of the race. As most drivers now with DRS open begin their attacks once again, or to begin their defending missions. J-Horse right now in quite an uncomfortable position where he's got Kresnos just in front, but is kind of struggling to almost keep up with him and try and go for an overtake, and he's got Exelis right behind him as well.
There
is
a
so
yellow flag. What has happened there?
It's the Mercedes of LX.
Oh, what happened
Not
there?
good for
Was
him.
the contact?
I'm guessing a spin or a contact or some sort.
Yeah,
Either way, down here in P6, Danny's having to go around the outside to try and defend a move from Scorenzi. It's not going to work. The Mercedes has gotten through nicely on a dive bomb there, just into turn 4. Move made, and he's looking comfortably as he pulls ahead after that move. It's half a second. That gap now was it looks quite a big gap now in comparison to everybody else, and that just states how close this race is already.
Definitely. The mid pack of this race as of now is awfully close together. We have between Blackbone and going up to Kresnos in P3 is all less than a second of each other. However, Spray and Pray does get a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. Spray and Pray is down in 19th. He has just dived into the pits. I don't know if that have been a bit of a spin off the track, but it is looking like it is getting awfully tasty between P3 and 6, as they're all very close together.
It certainly is, because J-Horse just got overtaken down in turn 3, and he's managed to get himself back up into P2 just before the braking zone of turn 4. The line from P2 back to P6, it is absolutely so unbelievably tight. One mistake from one of these drivers and it could wipe the lot of them out, honestly. Kresnos, he pushed, he got past at turn 3. It was a really nice move as they went both into the braking zone side by side. He got the slightly better acceleration, but J-Horse got the top speed down into turn 4 and got himself back past once again. So it's back to square one for all of these drivers. I don't think actually after all of that fighting anything actually changed. As always, they'll be getting ready to go once again, and I think Kresnos has got a really good opportunity here because he's got a significant
Oh, he
more speed
definitely
than
does.
J Horse.
Yeah.
The Alpine's going to go for it as well down the inside of
Wow.
both of them. Can
Oh.
Excellence get the move done? He breaks quite late, but he's managed to keep it on track, and it's an absolutely phenomenal
Wow.
move from the Alpine to keep himself up into P2. But J Horse, if he can have anything to say about it, he's going to. He's going to go down the inside at turn 4. Can he get the move done? Oh, a little bit of contact there, I think, being made between the two of them as Exilus sneaks back up the inside of J Horse to re-overtake and gain P2 once again.
Yep, and that is commendments to all of the drivers there for keeping it on the track and keeping it clean. There may have been a little bit of contact with Exilus bumping into the Red Bull, I think, of J Horse, but that was unreal. Kresnos is still hunting down and is going to try and prioritise this exit onto the final straight to overtake possibly J-Horse with DRS. J-Horse does have DRS against Exos, but looks a bit too far to make a move on this straight currently, but will he get the move done coming into this other corner?
It's
Ooh,
going to
Mr.
be another
Cookie
tight
as
one
well.
again.
Mr. Cookie is looking behind the Haas of Kresnos. There is no moves made. Mr. Cookie, though, is going to try and prioritise his exit. Was there a little mistake there from Exilus? I think J-Horse is going to try and go for the overtake. He is. With his yellow flag in Sector 2, J-Horse does get past Exilus. Exilus just gets caught lacking on that corner. Will Exilus try and fight back for the move coming into these extra corners? There is moves all over the pack as Imados does get past Fabi in 17th and 18th.
Indeed, it is just very, very close at the moment, and it's almost hard to keep up with all of it. So, as of right now, Spirus Virus comfortably leading at the moment. He's about the only driver who's secure in his position. He's got 4 seconds to J Horse just behind, clearly showing he's got serious championship concerns, and he's doing a very, very good job at controlling them. Let's take a quick moment to just check the tyres, because J Horse is a bit of an outlier here, along with Mr. Cookie. They've both gone for the hard tyre. Exodus just behind. He's gone for the mediums, hence why he's got quite a good ability into the corners, as Mr. Cookie and Scorenzi here just having a little scrap. Scorenzi, I think, is just going to come out in front there. Yes, he is, with the better acceleration. So it makes sense as to why the Alpine's able to go for these late break dive bombs, as he has just done, on my word. And just behind him as well, CPD Danny and Mr. Cookie, two hard-running drivers, do swap places once again. So it's getting from bad for worse for Mr. Cookie, falling from P5 to P7 in a matter of corners. So yeah, as of right now, J-Horse, a bit of an outlier on those hard tyres, surrounded by all those in mediums. But it makes you think, if he can keep up on the hards, what's he going to do when he switches to the mediums?
Well, unfortunately, we did have to say goodbye in this race to Fabi, as he has retired in the pits. But this action between Exilus in P2 and Blackburn in P11, it is constant action. I think we might have just had a spin from Rick in P18 in the Aston Martin in the end of Sector 2. But we don't want to take our eyes off this action.
Oh my god, Kresnos, sorry, has just absolutely launched it from the inside. He's tried to go for a move on J-Horse there. It's gone catastrophically wrong, because now Scorenzi is able to try and push for the move to get past Kresnos. He's going to have to try and take it all the way around the outside. It's very well defended, actually, giving the Mercedes barely any room to keep through, but just enough to keep him on track. The Haas doing a remarkable job there to keep his position. A very bold move from the Haas, and it just hasn't quite pulled off.
What's happened there? There is a Haas. I think that might have been a Haas that has just gone off track. It has. Oh, that is a shame. That is very unfortunate, but Exilus does have a penalty. I did not see Exilus gain that penalty. He's literally
just picked it up. 3-second time penalty. Just behind as well, Brockles gone for a move on Mr. Cookie. He's made it work. A little bit of contact between himself,
Mr.
just in front as well.
Very close behind.
J-Horse is going
J-Horse.
back for the move at P2, and he's got it done just before he hits the
Ooh.
braking zone. He had to go around the outside there, cut back to these guys just behind, and it is still absolute chaos as Birmingham tries to, I think, get past Mr. Cookie there. It's gone horribly wrong for him, and all of a sudden he was now under threat from Blackbone. Blackbone allowing him to stay in position at the moment. Maybe he knows Birmingham's in a better place to try and, you know, go up and gain a couple of positions, but a little wiggle there out of that corner. I think turn 4 might be a bit of an issue for some, especially with the rear grip issues.
Yeah, and the little fight between Bonnie Hum, Mr. Cookie, and Brookale did involve a little bit of contact with Mr. Cookie. Did get tagged along that overtake from the Ferrari, but it does end with the McLaren taking victory over those two. Mr. Cookie does get a time penalty, and this is what we were saying during qualifying about this track. It can catch you off guard with the track limits, which I think we will see a lot more of as we go further into this race.
Yeah, well, we already knew that the last corner could cause issues from all of the invalidated laps we had during quali, and now it is just beginning to show. Only three drivers at the moment with time penalties, but we are pretty much coming up on the the 33% mark. There we go. We'll go with that. So, and as of right now, it's fairly decent on penalties. But it's going to be hugely detrimental to Exelis and Mr. Cookie. They're going to lose heaps of positions with those penalties. They're just the one thing you can't bear to have around a track this competitive is penalties, because you just lose so many places.
Oh, definitely. And speaking of places, the places that are under threat is looking to be J-Horse from Exelis, who is getting very close. And Kresnos, who was under pressure, has just spun going into the final corner, which is definitely not what he wanted. Ballin has just got a 3-second time penalty as well, but Kresnos, he was in such a good position and loses it in that final corner. And Scornsey as well. Scornsey is down in P13. There must have been a little bit of contact between both drivers there.
And just whilst we were watching those two recover, Exelis got a good run on J-Horse and got the move done into turn 3. I think more and more moves are being made in turn 3. Kresnos
back.
has just tried going on Buell. He certainly is. He's gone to the inside. He's got the slightly better acceleration. J-Horse moving himself up back into P2. He was only out of it for a matter of moments until he retakes that position. Exelis, he won't be done just yet, though. What's the word? Tyres. That's going to start coming into play soon. Those medium tyres, they're not going to last forever. I imagine it would be somewhere around lap 15, lap 16. Maybe somebody might try and go for an undercut soonish. So I would say start watching out for people coming into the pits, because it's going to happen very, very soon.
Yep. And again, another penalty. It's just penalties left, right, and centre. Spray and Pray does have 6 seconds worth of, 9 seconds now worth of time penalties. Ballin does have 3 seconds. Danny has 3 seconds. Mr. Cookie and Exelis also have 3 seconds. It's going to increase more with the more drivers getting the track limits too wrong. Rick, again, another driver with a time penalty. It's just going to keep coming.
Indeed, it is. Literally, as I say that, we're looking good on time penalties. All of a sudden, everybody starts picking up time penalties. Just my luck, as most of you know, I'm absolutely awful for commentator's curse. Mr. Cookie right now is fighting with Brockle. They're going side by side into Sector 3. It's not a move we tend to see, and Brockle tried to get the switch back there, but Mr. Cookie just not getting out of the way quickly enough. So Mr. Cookie currently in P4 after running very wide through that fight. I think Brockle with a bit of DRS could definitely put the pressure on. He's not quite going to go for it at turn 1. He sort of thought twice about that. Thought it's probably not the best of ideas. But turn 3 I think is certainly going to be a good choice. We're going to have to look ever so slightly in front though first, as J-Horse has managed to get himself past. And Mr. Cookie currently a P4, Brockle P5. The two Ferraris as well gaining good places. They're P6 and P7 now. They're doing very well to come back from the detriment they started with.
Yeah, it's looking like Scornsey is recovering ever so slightly from his incident earlier. Same with the Haas of Ballin, because they are both making places down the latter end of the drivers. But then again, the drivers down the pack are fighting for it, and as they should. But we did see Danny get overtaken by Blackbone coming off that final straight in the last lap. But it seemed to be that Danny looked to just let Blackbone past. I don't know if Danny might be struggling on the tyres or something, but that is something that is very confusing. I could definitely keep watch at that. Blackbone does get a 3-second time penalty. These time penalties.
Yeah, time penalties are going to be a huge factor by the end of it. It's a horrible job, but honestly, being a mathematician, it does make my life a little bit easier trying to figure out where everybody actually finishes. At the moment, Blackbone and Danny, I believe, is the two of them. No, it's the two Ferraris going side by side, and just in front, Mr. Cookie and Brockle going side by side. They come like Noah's Ark, 2 by 2, and I think they're finally going to straighten out. As Danny, though, he's wanting a little bit more. He's going to have to try and go around the outside at the left-hander. He's going to hold it and gets the move done. Round the double left-hander. That's very impressive and very, very brave, but he's made it work. So that's Danny up to P7.
Yep, but I have no doubt that Blackbone will be fighting this back coming towards this final straight. He needs to get a good exit here and does need to prioritise the ERS. And with the DRS, can he get close enough to Danny? It doesn't look like it's going to happen on this straight, but with the second DRS zone coming up, he does seem to be closer. Danny is helped from the DRS with the driver in front, which is Bonnie Hunt, but Mr. Cookie does get past. Brockale. Can Mr. Cookie keep that position ahead of the McLaren driver? It seems so. Exelist has got away from Mr. Cookie. He's currently 3.3 seconds ahead, so he has extended his lead above the driver in P4, but he's still 4 tenths behind J. Hawes in P2. Brookale is looking closer to Mr. Cookie, though.
Indeed, he is. Just a quick move being made there. Jackalacco gets himself past Scorenzi into turn 4. He went down the inside, and it was just a very nice, clean move. The Williams gaining a position. He's the higher of the two are Henson. Currently P12. Only a couple of corners, if not just a single corner behind him. Brocco, as I say, getting a very, very close start. And Mr. Cookie picking up another time penalty. Yeah, 3 seconds. That now pushes him to 6 seconds of time penalties. Hugely detrimental for him, and that is going to be a serious issue. So I think he got a little loose out of that corner. Either way, I think he's going to be under threat no matter what, because Brocco's going to go to the inside here at turn 3. Gets very good on the braking zone, keeps it nicely in. Mr. Cookie just with enough room to stay on track, but he's not going to be able to re-overtake. Oh, he might do. He's catching, and he's going for it. Turn at 4. Little bit of contact between the two. I think the McLaren is just going to stay in front, though. Yes, he is.
Wow, yeah, and we have just also seen Scornsy dive into the pits. Is that a possible sign for more drivers to come in with the pits? Because I have just been seeing Ballin in the Haas of P12 struggling to come out of the corner with his tyres. Maybe this is going to be a dive into the pits for a lot of the drivers, but who will come in first out of the top 10?
Well, Exilist and Spirus Virus still opting to stay out. They're on the medium tyres, so they're the ones that really need to get it changed sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
We're now halfway through this race as well, or will be at the end of this lap. So it is probably about the right time for those mediums to come in. Spirus has got quite a nice gap up at the front as well, but I doubt he really wants to have to walk into too much traffic. Issue is for him, all that traffic is sort of pretty much guaranteed with them all being on hard tyres, unless he tries to, let them catch up a little bit on fresher mediums. Yeah. I'm not too sure. It's a risky call, but it could work for him. The one thing he doesn't want to do is to get caught up with having to fight anybody. So he's in a pretty tight predicament at the moment, but still with 7.3 seconds in the lead to his name, I doubt it's going to be all that much of a concern.
No, I don't think that it will affect him too much, but drivers such as Kresnos and Henson, who have just pitted, have been overtaken by Skonzi, who has done the undercut very well, and it's looking like Skonzi is in a good position to take more drivers out from the undercut, and he does get a purple sector 2 on his new hard tyres. Are we going to see any other drivers in the pits very soon? I think we will. And Scornsy does get the fastest lap of the race, but it's then, oh, I cannot see the time because Spray and Pray does get another penalty. And I don't know how many seconds he has of penalties right now. He has 12 seconds worth of time penalties. Mr. Cookie has 6.
Not good.
That is not good whatsoever. Skonzi is on the back of Rick, though, in P13. And it's looking like he might dive down. Oh, will he, though? Nope. There's a little bit of contact there, though.
No,
Looking
luckily
around.
electing not to go for much more of a move than what he did.
Ooh,
I've just
we're
spotted
seeing drivers
pits.
in the pits.
Yeah, Danny's in, Cookie's in, and Bonium. So interestingly, all three are running the hard tyres, so they're all opting for the undercuts on that harder set of tyres. Exodus and Spirus still out, so they're really trying to extend those medium tyres. I mean, Exodus is currently keeping track with J-Horse at the moment, so he'll be happy to try and stay where he is. Just for now. Kresnos there with the fastest lap, 106.5, so he's just taken that from Scornsy. It's at the moment, Brocco, he's looking for a move, isn't he? He's going to try and go to Blackbone. He's going down the inside here at 4. They're going to run side by side now into the double left-hander. How's that going to work out? The Ferrari getting the slight advantage just before corner entry. Blackbone gets himself back up into P4. Very well defended from him as Mr. Cookie, they're just getting past Eat My Dust on those fresh sets of medium tyres. As there we go, Spirus Virus finally into the pit lane. Thank God for his tyres, and so does Exodus. They both opt to come in at the same time. Makes sense.
J-Hawes does stay out, though, and that is very interesting. Maybe he is going for the gamble of anyone possibly with the cold tyres. I have just seen as well, Eat My Dust does get into a very big contact with Bonnie Horn, who does get overtaken by Danny in P8, and there is a yellow flag in Sector 3. Will this possibly end up any further? I don't think it will, but as I said before, Jay Hawes did stay out and is on his 20-lap-old hard compound tyres, and will he be looking for a gamble of possibly a safety car?
Yeah, quite possibly. It's a move he could try and pull off. If he can hold him out for a couple more laps, he could possibly switch to the softs, but he'd have to try and keep those tyres alive for another sort of 6-7 laps, so it's going to be a bit of a tight one for him.
I think that will be a really big challenge.
I'd like to say, oh, there we go, immediately, as we say that into the pit lane, we don't have to worry about it.
Right.
He's coming, he's maybe he's trying the overcut perhaps. Issue is a lot of those drivers, we saw a significant time being gained throughout that sort of that final lap by J-Horse. All he's going to want to do is try and come out in front of Mr. Cookie, and it's going to be a very close call as Mr. Cookie goes fastest there. J-Horse coming up the ramp now, comes out. Is he going to be in front? No, he's not. Mr. Cookie takes that position by about 0.8 of a second. But not to worry, that does allow the opportunity for J-Horse to get DRS maybe. I'm not too sure, actually. Possibly not. Just losing time down that main straight. Obviously, he had a worse acceleration. Hence why he lost time down that straight, and just absolute chaos in this midfield as everybody's swapping around positions. Brocco and Blackbone back on it once again. These two seem like they can't give up fighting each other, and I think the Ferrari's going to now try and go for a move on Scorenzi. Is he going to be able to pull it off? Not quite through the corner. He's going to have to wait now till the double left. Can he swoop it around the outside? Yes, he can. Lovely move by the Ferrari there.
Yeah, well, another thing that has happened with Jay Hawes is that he doesn't have to worry too much with the 6-second time penalty that Mr. Cookie does have. It's a long way until the end of the race, but again, Mr. Cookie does just go off the track. Does get the fastest lap though, but does go off the track, which is kind of showing how Mr. Cookie is coping with these track limits. But J Hawes doesn't need to worry too much about pushing on this new compound of tyres. But then again, Danny is looking within a second of J Hawes behind him. Will that be him pressuring him, even though he is under pressure from the Ferrari of Bonnie Hunt? Spray and pray, another 3 second time penalty. And there's a McLaren that has stopped on track in sector 1.
That is spray and pray, to be
That is spray and
precise.
pray. 15-second time penalty for spray and pray.
That is
Wow.
unfortunate. Really struggling as well. He's just tried to go through
Yeah.
turn 3, and he's just really slowed down to an absolute crawl. I think this race just keeps getting worse and worse and worse for him. Nothing seems to go well at all. As J Horse there picking up
not for
3
J
seconds of
Horse.
time penalty. So
Ooh.
now it's easier to probably count those who don't have penalties than those who do.
Yep.
J Horse. He's going to try and go for the move on Mr. Cookie. He's going down the inside at turn, down that first straight and into turn 3. He's got that move done very, very easily. As obviously Mr. Cookie, he is on ever so slightly, what words? Older medium tyres. There we go. That's the words. As Danny going around the outside, interesting enough, of Bonniam and trying to get that move done at 4. Bonniam's going to try and come fight back. He's going to now have the outside line for the next 2 corners. Is he going to be able to get it? Spray and pray there every time from the session. I think that isn't a surprise at all. As there we go. Yeah,
No.
Danny does manage to keep that position.
Yeah, this fight between Danny and Bonnie Hunt is looking very, very interesting because Bonnie Hunt is only, Danny is only in the fringes of 2 seconds behind Mr. Cookie, and Bonnie Hunt does look like they have the pace. So maybe if Bonnie Hunt can get this overtake, oh
Whoa!
no! What's happened there? Excelist and Bonnie Hunt have both had contact though coming in to the first corner. What has happened there? As I am currently talking about the Ferrari driver, I think a little bit of commentator's curse has affected that current driver and has lost a lot of places with that contact. Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't even commentator's curse. That was a commentator's tragedy. And it
Yeah,
just
that
goes
was.
horribly wrong for the 2 drivers.
Oh,
Excelist
no.
all the way down in P14. Really
Excelist
struggling
did get
there.
sorry, not Excelist. I think Excelist did already have the penalty from a previous incident. But wow, that is really unfortunate for both drivers.
And unfortunate timing for the commentators as usual.
Yep. Well, I think that does leave a lot of pressure off of Danny's shoulders in P4. Maybe
It
Danny
does.
can now have a run up into possibly P3 if they pick up the pace and try and chase after Mr. Cookie. Excelist has retired from the session though. That is a shame. That is
Interesting.
very unfortunate. Maybe Excelist will have some words to say after this race on that incident. We will have to see. That's very interesting to see. We'll come back to that. Blackbone is 4 tenths behind Brookale in P6, with Scornsey only 7 tenths behind him in P7. Rick does get past Email Dust in P16. There's not much action around the track, but there is action with the time penalties, with more being thrown out. Ballin is looking on the back of Hansen in P12.
Well, of the 17 drivers, we have 9 currently do not possess penalties, and 8 do. So it is pretty much about as 50-50 split as it can get in an odd number of drivers. So it's half clean. It's half clean as there go Exeter's leaving the
Yeah,
session
just
there
half.
after DNFing. Um, as of right now, it's quieting down a little bit. We still got a fight sort of fairly in the middle, and Bonium and Kresnos still fairly close together, just towards the back of the grid actually. Ema, Dust and Rick currently just side by side, as I think Rick's going to go for an absolute wild move there, deep into the dive, and there we go. He's go ever so slightly better on the acceleration. He's now going to have to go to the outside. Can he keep it all the way around? They go, and yes, he can. Lovely move there made just in
Wow.
between the two lefts. Just in front, however, we got Brocco and Blackbone. Blackbone just managing to get past over that DRS straight. I think same goes for Bonium on Kresnos.
Yep, and Hazard has just gone into the pits for a set of soft compound tyres, which is very interesting. I think he was on 13 lap old tyres, possibly, which isn't too far off the rest of a couple drivers on the field, so maybe we might be seeing a dive into the pits for a few drivers for the soft compound tyres. But this fight between Eat My Dust and Rick is still going on. I think Eat My Dust has had a little incident there because it is he's now 1.4 seconds behind Rick. Oh.
Yeah. Right.
What a
Okay.
shame.
So. I'll just have a quick rundown of sort of what's happened so far. Spyrus, he went into the lead at the very start and he sort of just ran away with it as of since. Staying pretty much consistently at the front of the grid, bar his pit stop time. So unfortunately, it's going to be no Grand Slam for him. Mr. Cookie, right now, after a fairly solid start, currently running P3, just sticking to J-Horse quite nicely here. Those two pretty much matching each other's pace every single lap. I don't think it's changed from about 6/10 for the last sort of 5 laps or so. Brocken and Backbone, they can't leave each other alone. Scorenzi's just trying to get involved in the battle, but it's not quite working as of right now. But he is very, very close, and I'd like to expect him to try and go for a move maybe next lap. It's been some high and lows for a lot of drivers, hasn't it? As Hazard and Eat My Dust there just starting to get involved in a bit of a fight. Hazard trying to use those soft tyres that he's pitted for. I think the only appearance of the soft tyre so far this race is from Hazard on them right now. Also, he'll be looking to pick up fastest lap, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. And another two drivers which are very close together is LX and Buell, which is looking to be a really good battle. Buell was trying to catch up to LX and has done and overtaken very, very well. But LX does look like they might be coming back to fight for that position, possibly. But there is a lot of drivers which are very close behind. Boney Hun is very close to Kresnos, only 5 tenths coming up through the DRS zone. Mr. Cookie is 6 tenths behind J Hawes. Blackbone 2 tenths behind Brookale. Can Blackbone prioritize these coming exits to try and get a good run up into the DRS zone on the McLaren driver?
Let's hope he can. Moving on.
Looks clean exit.
It is a very clean exit, actually. We're at 31 and 36.
Brookale does not have DRS, and I don't think Brookale will have DRS from Danny ahead of them. Blackburn is coming up to the driver and does very well, very clean to get past Brookale. Brookale is not going to fight that back. Blackburn is too far ahead, and Blackburn is in front into P5. But then again, Brookale has got DRS into the second DRS zone, and can he take the place back? He can. Into P5. I don't think Blackbone has the track position for the fight back. Boneyham does get past Crescent. Scornsey, though. Scornsey is on the scene in the Blackbone and Brookale fight, and Blackbone has been overtaken by Scornsey as well.
That's a cracking move from Scorenzi as well. That is somewhere where you don't tend to see many people going. He's pulled it off very nicely, and we'll probably hope to advance onto Brocco, because at the end of the day, these two are going to be the ones that want to fight the most. These two are the ones without penalties. Blackbone there, 3 seconds of time penalties, and obviously just in front of them, they got Danny and possibly even Cookie. They might gain a place from. It's that many penalties. 6 seconds is just so detrimental for the both drivers. So Skrenzi and Brocco pretty much fighting in podium positions as of right now. We've not got that long to go at all. 5 laps, well, 4.5 laps now at this point during the lap. He's still very close at the front of the timing sheet, and there is Skrenzi going for the move into P5 as it stands. Can he keep it held? Yes, he can. There we go. Skrenzi up to P5. Brocco, though, he'll have something to say about that sooner or later. CPR Danny picking up another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That pushes him to 9 seconds of time penalties. He joins Bannett and LX in that special club.
Wow, 9 seconds is, it's unreal. We do see another retiree and yellow flag into the final straight. Danny also retires
Into
from
the
this
pit
race.
lane, yeah.
I don't know
so
what is happening.
obviously, those 9 seconds.
Danny was in a
he
pretty decent position as well.
He was in a decent
9
position. I mean,
seconds.
even with that 9-second time penalty, he was still going to be able to, pick up. Sorry, I've been on board with Skrenzi, and I didn't see what happened just behind, but I certainly noticed his rear end getting a bit loose. So I think a bit of contact was made there between him and Brocco. Though Skrenzi holds the position for now, but Brocco clearly interested in getting it back. But maybe Blackbone will have something to say about it, because he's beginning to get back into this fight once again. Ever so slightly in front, Mr. Cookie is still 6/10 off of the back of J Horse. That hasn't changed, I think, since about lap 25. That's quite incredible, actually. Brocco right now, he will just be optimizing out of this run. We know not many people, if at all any moves really, have been made into turn 1. This is about closing that gap down as much as you physically can, just to allow for an easy move into turn 3. McLaren, pretty decent exit, but a really good exit actually for the Mercedes. It's half a second. Is it going to be enough for the McLaren to try and close it back down? He's going to be able to close the time back down, but it's nowhere near enough to be able to go for a move. Maybe those medium tyres beginning to struggle a little bit, perhaps, after wearing for sort of quite a few laps now. How long have they been out for? 13 laps, those mediums now. Skrenzi, though, 17 laps on those hard tyres, and he's putting up a really good fight.
Wow. Yes, considering the tyre age, maybe that was a little bit of an explanation of the loss of rear end coming out of that corner a couple laps ago, maybe. I'm thinking, but then again, Blackburn and Brocco on 13-lap old tyres. Blackburn is just stuck behind this fight, but is waiting to pounce on any mistake made by the McLaren or Mercedes driver in front.
Indeed, it is. Skrenzi still leading. We've just got 2 more times to go through this track now. So just a few opportunities for these positions to change around, and literally, or as I say, they've been stuck in the same place in stalemate for so long. Mr. Cookie's managed to get himself in front of J Horse. He'll want to do that to try and extend his gap to Skrenzi and try and secure P3. That'll be why Mr. Cookie's fighting so hard, because he needs that 6-second gap. Right now, it is literally on the margin of 6 seconds. And just as I say that, Brocco's going to try and sneak his way through now, and I think he's just managed managed to do that, and he's done that with actually quite a nice style. Brocco moves up into P4, which at the moment will stay as P4 by 1/10 of a second. So it's incredibly close right now with that 6-second time penalty. Mr. Cookie, he's fighting relentlessly to try and keep hold of it. Mr. Cookie is going to have to up the pace just a little bit on this very final lap if he wants to hold on to that podium position. Either way, Spires Fire is looking fairly comfortable at the front of the grid. He comes into turn 3 just for one more time. J-Horse is going to try and go for the move on Mr. Cookie. I think here he's got a pretty good run into turn 3. Opts not to go for it, and I think that was probably the wise idea. He doesn't need to go for that move. He secured the position anyway. Why risk it? But the Mercedes will risk it because it's all for the position, and indeed Scorenzi does get himself past at turn 3. Brockle's going to have to try and come back at turn 4. He's going to do just that. The Mercedes goes defensive. Is he going to be able to get the late brakes on? No, I think the McLaren's going to be able to swoop through around the outside. Yes, he has. The McLaren finally get himself into place. We've got about half a lap remaining. I'm going to let them just finish settling their battles as we're going to turn to the man at the front of the grid. He's led for practically the entirety of the race. It's an absolute thunderstorm for Spires Virus as he wins in Austria. J-Horse will come through P2, and by the looks of it, Mr. Cookie comes across P3.
In a league of his own.
Is it going to be enough for Mr. Cookie? Because Brockles coming across the line now. Will he take the position? Yes, he will. But Scorenzi won't, and only just 0.04 of a second there. That gap between Mr. Cookie and Scorenzi in the end. So incredibly tight margins, and a big benefit for Mr. Cookie to actually not have lost both places and to only have lost one to Brockle.
Definitely, and another battle which went down to the final corner, to the wire, was between Kresnos, Ball, Jacko, and Bonyhun between 7, 8, 9, and 10th position, which was very feisty coming in to the final sector. But it does end up the final positions with the Ferrari taking advantage and just being in front of both them other drivers. And that is it. What a race. The amount of action that we've seen, that has been unreal. And luckily, we've had no safety cars.
No safety cars as well. This is becoming a bit of a habit. This is actually, getting fairly common now. People just not having safety cars. Maybe we'll have to turn safety car up standard rather than reduced, for a bit of feistiness. But congratulations to the drivers on the podium. They've done an absolutely stellar job. Congratulations to all the teams as well. Great constructor points for the lot of them.
Yeah. Just an outstanding performance from the AlphaTauri driver in a league of his own the entire race. Spires, wow. Pat yourself on the back for that performance.
He started at the front, he finishes at the front. Spires Virus takes home the win today, and J-Horse in P2. Brockle in P3 rounds out the podium, and then Mr. Cookie in P4. Scorenzi P5 and Blackbone in P6 for the Ferrari. His teammate just behind Bonium in P7. Jackalacco P8 for Williams, and Kresnos P9 for Haas, with his teammate just behind him, Balint in P10. Henson P11 for Williams, and Bill P12 for Red Bull. Hazard P13 for Alfa Romeo, and LX P14 for Mercedes, Rick P15 for Aston Martin, and Danny P16 for Aston Martin as well. And another pairing, the Alpine Eat My Dust and Excelist in P17 and 18. Spray and Pray and Fabi Cassi round out the list. And there
and a
we
very,
go.
very good result for Ferrari. 6th and 7th position. Wow.
Yes, they'll certainly be happy with that. Join us back in just a moment whilst we sort out, hopefully, some interviews. You join us back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We are here for some post-race interviews. Unfortunately, only one of the podium finishers has shown up, so we've had to drag in P4. Mr. Cookie, it was a very tightly contested race, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, qualifying was a bit annoying, but yeah, as you said, very, very tight. I think the qualifying gaps were like really close if you don't count Spirus. I think second to seventh was separated by about a tenth, and it was just, yeah, crazy stuff. And I mean, unfortunately, I was on the lower end of that, but can't really complain too much. I mean, it's not like I'm like down in the bottom half of the grid or anything, so I'm at least happy with that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just talk us through your race. It was pretty much action non-stop, and then with J Horse, you finally managed to get past him right at the very end.
Yeah, I wasn't really like trying to get past him like for a position or anything, because I knew he was on 3 seconds. I wasn't going to be able to stay ahead or anything. I just wanted to tow most of the time. And I just tried planning, I think, penultimate lap, I tried planning it so I would go past and get the DRS as well. Lost a bit of time, which is a bit of a shame. Might have cost me the podium, but no, it was pretty decent. The race in general, a lot of fun with Brokeout, and it was like it was not a dirty battle, but like a lot of wheel bagging. I found it pretty fun, but also a little bit frustrating how it's like I'm constantly losing time. Like what's going on? Really annoyed, but yeah, I still had a lot of fun with that. It's just kind of really annoyed. I was already getting penalties at the time, and it was just like just let me go. I don't want to do it. Yeah, but it he's still probably a good fight, and I'm gonna probably say well done on the podium to him anyway. So yeah, it's not really much else to say, to be honest. I've just found that a bit frustrating, even though there's so much action.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've summed it up pretty nicely. Lyndon, have you got anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, with the 6 seconds of time penalties, just talk us through about how that track affects you with the track limits. Was it something that you were constantly thinking of? Was it something that you just happened to come across every time? Where was the main like track limits part that you suffered with? Just talk us through about how this track affected you personally.
All right. I mean, it's interesting because most of the track limits are either like at like one or two corners. It's always like never really anywhere else. And for me, it was turn 9 and 10. Like those are really annoying, considering I think I had a bit lower wings as well compared to a couple of people, but I just still couldn't get enough straight line speed, so it felt horrible. I'm trying to go out, the exit of a corner felt horrible because it's done a downforce on the grip for it, and it just didn't really help. And I think by the time at the end of the race, I was really thinking about it because I did want a podium, and I mean I've only got one this season, and then it was kind of taken away from me because I would have had P2, but instead of a bit of contact happened, and then got P3. So yeah, just would like another podium, but I think just without those penalties or just anything like that, I think I probably wouldn't have changed anything. It would still have been pretty much the same type of race, trying to get J-Horse and just keeping with him, really.
Sounds about
Still an amazing result, so well done. Well done, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, indeed. Shall we get your 3-word race roundup?
Ooh, annoyed but happy. Like it's a bit of a weird one, but it's very weird actually because I'm very annoyed with track limits, but yeah, still pretty happy with the result. I mean, P4 is still pretty good, even though you got 6 seconds of penalties. So, especially how close the grid is now as well. So, pretty happy with it.
Sounds about right. Well, congratulations on P4, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Alrighty, now let's turn to our P2 finisher. J-Horse, it was a battle throughout, but turned out very decently. Should we get your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good fun. I think I was on my own for about one lap the entire race. So it was a lot of a lot of battling and a lot of managing ERS and tires and whatever not. But yeah, it was good fun. I enjoyed it. The first stint especially was really fun. Trying to those first few laps when you're on the hards and you've got mediums around you, because around Austria it's not, the pace difference isn't like crazy. So you can still fight, but it's obviously a bit tricky. But I really enjoyed that, and yeah, obviously it was the right strategy in the end. It turned out pretty well. Managed to get the P2.
Hmm. So we've heard the sort of Cookie side of the interaction sort of between you two. What were you thinking while sort of Cookie was sort of just keeping very, very close sort of over those sort of last 10 laps?
Well, to start with, I was fine because I think I was on 0 seconds of penalties, and then I ended up 1 away from a 6 seconds. So it was a little bit sketchy at the end, but it was good fun. I enjoyed it. I think he got, I think he was 2 laps before me, pitted, and you get a fairly decent undercut. And the new tyres didn't help actually too much. They were again with the softs and the mediums and the hards, to get the pace difference isn't crazy. But yeah, it was good fun. I enjoyed trying to keep him behind and just managing ERS, and yeah, it was quite controlled for the first 75% of it, and then towards the end we started fighting away. So yeah, always good to fight with Cookie. We haven't done it much recently.
Mm-hmm. And with this result, it does help sort of keep you up towards the top of the standings in the championship. I know this does just give Spyrus a bit more an advantage, but do you think you could possibly challenge him in sort of the rest of the season to come?
At the moment, probably no. I think he's so quick, and he's pretty much quick on every track. So it would take a lot of effort from myself to get up there. I think it would probably be about 21, 22 points the gap now, which is pretty hefty. But yeah, we'll give it a go, and if something happens to him, I'll be right there. But yeah, it would be a good fight for P2, if not P1. Yeah, should be a fun rest of the season.
Nice. And Lyndon, you got anything you'd like to add?
No, other than just that it was such a good race between you and Cookie, and the action that we saw from the moves that you two were making between each other was just a great watch. So well done and thank you.
Thank you very much. Glad you liked it.
Alrighty, well, if that's the case, shall we get your 3-word race roundup?
Oh, I hate this bit. You know I hate this bit, Carter.
I
really need to stop.
Like, used to it by now.
I know. I should sit there whilst Cookie's talking and think of it, shouldn't I? And I never do. Track penalties galore.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Probably sums it up well.
Yeah. Oh, well, congratulations on your podium position then, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Appreciate it. See you next week.
Righty, and well, that rounds out today. It's been a really solid race overall, hasn't it, Lyndon?
Yeah, it has been an unreal race. We've seen so much action from so many drivers, and I am really, really happy with the result for all drivers.
Yeah, I think on that note, we'll say thank you all very much for watching. I've been the Characteristics. He's been Lyndon. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you.